super excited about today's panel. Topic of today's panel is how elite agents control pricing without fighting the seller. I think this has been something that's been heavily requested, especially in today's market with a lot of fluidity in pricing, and it's like, you know, the whole concept that we are not combatants with the sellers. We're looking for the same thing. So we have three amazing panelists. We have Susan Metallo, Katie McNeill, and Anthony May. Gonna have you guys introduce yourselves one at a time, tell a little bit about like your history in real estate, and we'll jump into some questions.
Oh gosh, I'm first. Okay. Susan Metallo. Some people still call me Susan Kogan. I say I answer to that as long as it's something good. Otherwise, there's a new Mrs. Kogan in town, and you could ask her. But I've been in real estate since 1995, licensed in Columbus, and then moved here in 2000 and started selling. So I've had a pretty broad history. Did not grow up here, grew up in Chicago. So I started in new construction. And I think that really helped me out in Canyon Lakes, helped me learn about the business from the ground up, basically, and then have moved, progressed. Was really, my biggest role was really at Realty One, back when the market was up somewhat like this. Then when it went down, made some transitions, and I'm a partner at Berkshire Hathaway for the last, since 2013. So have really expanded to be more into the luxury brand, and have found that to be more of my niche with sellers and buyers. So I've been really enjoying it. It's been a little crazy the last 5 years, but always something new. That's what I'd like to, I guess, say.
Love it. Katie?
Yeah.
I'm Katie McNeill. I'm with Platinum Real Estate on the east side. Our corporate office is in Mentor. I also have my license in Florida, but I'm noticing when I'm there I don't really want to work. It's been amazing. I actually started in mortgage back in 98 for 15 years, and decided to semi-retire. We had rentals, so I thought I'd have my license part-time in 2015, and quickly learned that was not going to happen. I fell in love. I liked mortgage, but I love real estate, and ended up with a team. We have to work doubly hard as you guys. Your purchase price is much higher over here. As I was driving up, I'm like, oh my. But I absolutely love it. Every day is something new, and from a very young age, I realized that's what I needed. I needed just new people every time. I actually worked in a funeral home. My last name's McNeill, and worked in a funeral home and met new people 3-4 times a week, and realized whatever I did, that had to be incorporated. New challenges, new people, and real estate has all of that. So,
Love it.
My name is Anthony with Hanna out of the Strongsville area. I got into real estate due to my wife here. I've been in it for about 11 years. Used to go out and do open houses with her, travel with her, and she discovered that she needed, I always say, a very handsome assistant to come along. So my rate per hour was economical, and she was able to afford me at the time. But here 11 years later, we're still striving and doing very, very, very strong. Prior to real estate, I used to officiate college basketball. And everyone is. My story that I tell people, I don't know if people are familiar with horse jockeys, but I used to tell folks that I'm a horse jockey. And those that are familiar with horse jockeys. And I say that because I never met a horse jockey. I've seen them on TV, but did not put two and two together. But then when I saw one and they saw me, I was like, wow. And they were like, wow. And I just didn't, so that's been my story that I've been telling folks, that I grew up as a horse jockey, but enjoying it. We have a phenomenal team surrounding us, and looking forward to continue to excel in this business.
Love it. Well, let's jump into some questions. Try to save some time at the end for the group to ask you guys some questions as well. But Anthony, we'll start with you. When you walk into a listing appointment, what do you believe your role is in the pricing conversation?
My role, I feel, is to convince the seller that the information that I'm bringing to them in regards to setting a price is been researched, and I'm coming in with a very strong and convincing convincing price. One thing that I've discovered is that sellers whenever you meet with the seller, they already have a preconceived notion in regards to what the value of their home is going to be. And you're hoping that you are in alignment, with that. And when we're not, that's where the data that I've done ahead of time and the research that I've done ahead of time will try to bridge that gap, a little bit more. But I feel my role is to convince them of this is what the price needs to be in order for your home to sell in a timely fashion.
Love it. Katie, what about for you?
Depending on, obviously, the listing presentation, but if you go in and you have enough knowledge, you are pretty clear on what it is, and I always have A, B, and C plan. So I always ask them I already have the knowledge sitting right here, but I always am curious to know, what do you think your home will sell for? And statistically, you're dead on. And the net sheet comes out, immediately. And of course, that's after going over everything that would be provided with me listing their home. And I really don't go over any of it and go right down to the seller net and what they're going to get and would they be happy with that, and work backwards. And 9 times out of 10, they're ecstatic and they don't really see the 25,000 or 30,000 or. And then if they want to dive into it, we'll dive into the whole seller net sheet then.
Cool. Susan?
Well, I usually am, I guess there's such a range of this, right? But when I go in with comps, I'm really pretty thorough at trying to do a broader range, especially if it's a house I've not been in. If it's a house I've sold before, I pretty much know what they bought it for, but you don't know any improvements. So I kind of go in with a broad range, let's say an 800 to 1.2, and try to look at it. And I'm at my best when I do not give the price that day, because I think we get very excited about what the price should be, and they come back of, well, this is what I think it's worth. And I say, I just need to give me a little more time to digest it and come back to you with my number. It doesn't happen every time, but I think that a lot of times we get caught up in the emotion of them saying, well, I thought it would be, 1.5. And sure, okay, that sounds right, and instead of doing that, to go back home and think a little more like, well, maybe you're missing this extra bathroom or garage or something that another house has in that range. I think in this market in the last couple of years, we could put it at 0 and somebody could come in at, 100,000, 200,000 over the list price. So I think we're in a little bit of a different animal than we were in the past, when we always were going, we were kind of going at the max and hoping that somebody would come in and we'd meet in the middle. Now we're going with a price that we think will get escalated by better and more offers. So I guess I'm more open to a discussion and then going back the next day with an answer.
Love it. Let's build on that. What do most agents get wrong in the pricing conversation?
You want me
Sure,
going
please.
backwards?
Yeah.
What do they get wrong? I would say they are always inflated more than they are deflated. Unless they've lived in the house probably 20 to 30 years, we're in a different market. But people that, well, my neighbor's house sold for this, so is it mine worth more than that? I think, like to Katie's point of providing like the net, I don't think they see through where that's going to go. I usually try to ask at least, what do you owe, so you know where it's at. Sometimes I think some sellers get confused when they see property taxes and all the rest of that, escrow thrown into a net. So when I do it for a listing side, I will take that part out because they're going to owe that, anyways. But I think they're more inflated by just a number they've heard from someone else.
Gotcha. Katie, what about for you?
Do you mean going against other agents?
Like, I would just say, like what do most agents get wrong in the pricing conversation? I think Susan touched a little bit more on sellers, but it's
I
like,
thought you said sellers. So you meant
it's-
okay, I'm
it's
sorry.
fine.
Yeah.
Like, I would say, like, if you see like other agents coming out, it's like could be something like they make a rash decision on the spot instead of what Susan said about coming back the next day, or that they're constantly just agreeing with sellers, or something along that line.
I'm really brutal, and that's probably not 90% of people's tactic, but I don't want to list your house and fail you, right? So I will be very honest and pull out the facts. And if I don't have them that day, within hours, I'm back to them on why their house is not worth what someone said. You know, we have a fiduciary responsibility to sell this house for maximum dollars. And how are we going to get that? And within reason, I will go a little higher if they want, but I put in writing why I think we should do this, and if they would like to do this. I don't feel it will get them the most. I mean, you touched on it exactly. This is the first time in my life, within thousands, I don't know what we'll get. We're getting 50,000 over 70. I just put an offer, they underlisted it, but 80,000, and the purchase price was only 700 and something, and we went 80 grand higher. So it's for the first time. The only thing I'm not positive about is how much is someone willing to pay, especially with these escalation clauses. And if I price it right, and usually it's a little lower, we're gonna get multiple offers, and then people, they lose all rationality and they're just fighting against each other. So I'm pretty strict, and I will show the comparables and the facts. They say it all the time. Oh, right down the street, they sold it, you know, for 100,000 more. Yeah, it's 500 square foot bigger. That's like 2 rooms. Or you have 3 bedrooms, they have 4 plus an office. And once you take the time, and if you don't have the knowledge, don't be afraid to say, let me go back and get the facts, and I'll be back. I go within hours because I want that listing agreement signed. So anytime I make an appointment, I do not have appointments after for 4 hours. In case I'm for some reason not prepared. I really try to get their mortgage payoff, any improvements they've done. I try to get all the knowledge right up front so we are signing in that moment. But when they say, well, she told me I could sell it for this, well, she just wants your listing. I want to sell it for top dollar, and I'm always going to be honest. And you can pull your percentages up on what you sell for. You can always have your computer, and you should be pulling up what they have sold for percentage-wise and what you have. And statistically, if you're a really strong agent, it should be over 100% right now.
Anthony, what about your thoughts?
Yeah, so I use MLS a lot, and for those homes that have been overpriced, I show statistically how long they've been on the market. Because typically when I'm sitting down, they're still on the market, and this is why they're why they're overpriced. I also provide them with what I feel our data is, and like what she just said, I do have our data in regards to what our homes have listed for versus what they've sold for, and we're in that 102 percentile in regards to what the list price versus the sold price. So there's some credibility right there in our area, Strongsville. So we have a nice footprint in Strongsville. So I have something to back up what it is that I'm saying. So in regards to that seller, if they want to be priced a little bit higher, there are some variances that we use to determine if we will, in fact, go with that. But I'm typically coming in fully. I'm a very analytical person, so I'm typically coming in fully armed to support my pricing.
One thing I could add, since I seem to have the question wrong, was that I've been finding in our market more agents convincing sellers to go off market and sell off market. And I combat that right on, like up front of, you don't know what you're going to get unless you're out there. So to put to say they're going to do this one day off market and then we see it, active pending within, 2 minutes. I said, you don't know. And there have been plenty of times that people have said, I would have paid 100,000, 200,000 more than what that number was. Mm-hmm. So I think that's something we should all be aware that that's going on in a lot of markets more than it should be and if we're looking out for the seller's best interest, that shouldn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Okay. I'm excited about this question. We'll start with Anthony. Do sellers usually overprice because of greed or because of fear? And what's the real fear underneath it?
Greed or fear? I'm going to go with greed. Okay. I'm going to go with greed because as I said earlier, based on fear. Yeah, exactly. Every seller has when you go on a listing presentation, the sellers already have in their mind what they want their home to list for, and as I say, you hope to fall within that variance. So our job when we go out is to see if that number that they have in mind is realistic. it's about 50-50. Sometimes they're just way over, but at the end we've convinced them to level out their pricing. But because every seller wants to get as much, as we all want to do, they want to get as much money for their home as possible. So I'm going to go with greed.
Okay.
In regards to my
Katie, what's your
options.
thoughts?
I would definitely think greed. I don't know that I've ever felt fear, but again, I always ask them what they think their home is worth, and immediately followed up when it's ridiculous with, oh, well, how did you come up with that? Mm-hmm. And then I let them spiel their nonsense, and then I just pull the facts out. And I don't say a word about pricing. Mm-hmm. And I just show them the 5 comparables and talk about the ones that they did, and whether it's way nicer, it's bigger, it's on a cul-de-sac, you have train tracks in your backyard, whatever the knowledge is, extra 3-car garage on property. I mean, we know how much they're worth. And so by the time I have to talk about what their home is truly worth, they're already there. So I don't really have much convincing to have to do. And again, if they want to go a little higher, I just show them the negatives of it. They take the opportunity to go into crazy multiples, people fighting over each other. We've got about 4 days, right? When we go on that market, we've got about 4 days to really have people fighting over it. And then it will calm down. So that's the risk they're, taking away from themselves.
Susan, greed or fear?
Okay, I'm going to throw out another word just because I like to mess with the questions. I think there's a lot of pride. So I think the greed may not always be the right word. It might be more of this, I loved this house for 20 years. I did, I redid this bathroom in, 2000. So it's beautiful. And that's why it really is worth so much more money. So it's like a little bit of that, and then you're like, but people have updated since 2000 with like some new, whatever. I think that the fear part I think would only be more for the people that really need to move, maybe bought a property that was so unique and the pricing was really low when they bought it that they put so much into it, they're walking away with very little. And we aren't getting that very much, but if we do, those are the only ones I see with fear.
Yeah, I think that's actually a fantastic word to use. I'm going to have you start writing the questions.
Okay.
What's interesting is, I think you see a lot of pride. You see it probably a lot more, the people are vocal about it in the luxury market. Mm-hmm. But the truth of it is, it's really in most homeowners have a ton of pride in their houses. Mm-hmm. Right. So I think that's a really good word. All right, what are you guys doing before you ever talk numbers that makes the pricing conversation easier when you eventually get to it? Susan, we'll start with you.
Say it one more time.
What are you doing prior to talking about pricing?
Okay.
Like on the listing appointment, pre-phone call, anything like that makes talking about pricing when you finally do an easier conversation?
I do in the conversation, at least on the phone before I'm going, it's getting a little more information about any updates, recent updates. They don't give me everything, especially if it's been a longer time. But I feel like I'm the same about running the analytics and trying to look. The MLS does provide a lot of that. The sad part is all the pictures now that are being taken out. Everybody wants their pictures taken out prior to closing. So you don't always have that. So it does help. For me, I really concentrate on a specific market area. I don't get too far east, too far west, and know my market. So I can say, crazily enough, I sold that house twice, like 20 years ago or whatever. So you have a little more built-in knowledge, I think helps, but I think those analytics are probably the bigger key to being ready when you go.
Katie?
Do you guys have a lot of people that immediately on the telephone are like, how much are you? I don't know if anyone
ask about commission.
Commission.
Right up front. Anytime that happens, I just stop it immediately, and we can talk about it when I come out. There's several options you have, so we'd have to go through it to see which one fits you best. You don't ever want to talk price, and right off the bat, they're not even my favorite seller. Let's be very, very clear. I am interviewing them just as much as they are me, and if they are not the right fit, I am not putting myself in a position to hate my life for 90 to 120 days. So I go over, we have a book, I go over everything that we provide, why pick Katie at the Katie McNeill team, and that should just flow without even having to think on why you are the very best choice. What do you provide that is going to sell their home for top dollar? So I go through all of that prior to ever getting to pricing, and always bring it up. You don't want them to have to ask you. You want to be confident and very comfortable with why you're worth, X amount of dollars.
Anthony, how about for you?
So I'm very generic in my pricing because that's the first question they want to ask. How much you charge, and then what do you think you're going to sell my home for? And being that our area is predominantly Strongsville, I can comfortably tell them that homes range in price from 400 to 800. I tell them that, and you're going to fall someplace in between. And the only way for me to determine what that price will be is for me to come and see your home. But this is my price that I'm giving you based on what's happening in Strongsville. And I tell them this is public knowledge. You can go and look it up and see what homes have averaged in Strongsville. So my job when I come see your home is to narrow that $400,000 price gap down to within 15 to 20,000 for you.
I like that line.
Me too.
It's obviously a little different per market or whatever.
Yes.
I feel like that catches people's attention.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, for sure.
I love it. Anthony, we'll start with you. What signals tell you early that a seller is going to be difficult on pricing? I feel like you guys are picking up great information, but we're not making sellers look good today.
Yeah. So I feel I'm very good on the phone,
Okay.
and I'm a very good vibe reader. So when they're not willing to listen to what it is that I'm saying, that's case number one. Case number two is when they're telling me what they're gonna list their house for, and what my commission is going to be. We haven't even met or interacted yet, and you're telling me what my price is going to be, and you're telling me what I'm going to get pay. You don't even know what it is I'm bringing to the bringing to the table. So that's when I know I'm dealing with a difficult person. But typically, for me, if I get a seat at the table, I can twist that around where they're being more amenable to what it is I'm listening to. So I'm able to tell just within the first few minutes, because sellers today, they get this information offline and they want to come and tell us how we do our jobs and what we should be able to do. And they've spoken to their, no disrespect, their parents, their grandparents, their great grandparents, and what they've done back in the day, and they want to bring that into 2026. But I do my best to get a seat at the table, feeling very confident that once I get a seat at the table, we're going to do well to conquest that book of business.
They want their great grandparents' commission, but they don't want the value of their house that their
there you go.
grandparents would have gotten.
There you go.
Katie, what about for you? What's the signals that tells you someone's going to be a difficult seller for pricing?
I think we can all tell within a minute. How difficult. I try to turn it. I just immediately turn it. And really let them talk, and then, explain to them that, again, I need to come out, see the home, meet with you. You can pick a package that best suits you. I don't really have a package, okay? Let's be very clear. It's really, at the end of the day, whether you're $50,000 or $1 million, I do the same 43 steps. The only thing that changes is, of course, is marketing and drone pictures, stuff like that. But everyone gets the same service. And when they are immediately aggressive on price, I really try to hone in on, did you have a bad experience in the past? I try to figure out, why would you ever be so aggressive? And I turn it and make it so they understand that they're pretty fortunate to have the opportunity to work with me. When you have to, you have to. In the top 1% in all of Northeast Ohio, sell X amount of houses, do this amount of money. The experience and knowledge comes with a price tag. Do you want someone that's been doing it 1 year that has no idea, or do you want someone with experience? So I'll just kind of turn it, and usually it's pretty good moving. And if they're not, if they're awful, thank God I'm in a position, I might decline the listing altogether right up front, or give it away and get a 25% referral fee, because I just don't want to do it anymore. I just don't want to have a bad experience for 120 days.
Susan, from your perspective, what's the indicators?
I think it's, I need to get, or we need to get this much. is when it's phrased like that, that's a trigger to me of like, okay, they're going to be difficult. Whether the need is right or wrong, usually it's really wrong, or that they think they could wait to sell their house and they haven't really figured out how they're going to buy the next one, but they have to have this sold first. In this market that we know that's not working very well. So, or they aren't willing to put it on the market because they don't know what they're buying, right? I think we've probably seen that today more than we have in the past, where you would just have somebody confident that once their house sold, they'd find something that they'd like. Now they want to find it, still have it, and then still get the most for their house. I think they become the more difficult person to.
If I could, it's so interesting you just said that. I just had a seller, they built a house, worst builder ever. The home's gorgeous, but the financing was off and they're way in over their head. Can't even put a driveway in anything. And their exact words to me were, well, we're into it for this much, so we have to get this. Mm-hmm. And the response is, I will get you every dollar I can. It doesn't matter what we're into something for, it is what the market will bear. Mm-hmm. And whatever that number is, I will try to get you into multiples and get you more. But it is what it is, right? We can't, especially when you're just built and it's custom and it's not going to be everyone's taste. Right. It's really having to turn it and let them know, like, the market is what the market is. I'll give you all the facts and together we can decide the best list price.
So I think Katie just answered the next question. So we'll go
Sorry.
Susan. No, that's perfect. It's perfect. So Susan, when a seller gives you a number that's unrealistic, what's your first move?
I'm running. No, I'm calling Katie. I'd like to refer this to you.
She refers it to Anthony. Now there's a 50%
exactly. And we've got
referral.
like 3 people.
And by the time he's done, he's got it over to Scotty. Scotty's making $6 on it.
I think for me though, it's harder for me because I've been in this career longer and know that I'm not going out after listings. I'm just going based off of past clients or referrals from past clients. I'm not sitting open houses trying to pick up new clients. So I have a pretty good relationship with the clients that I'm going to meet with. I think that's different from a newer agent that's really looking for, let's just say, any potential listing or buyer that might, how do they respond to that? I think it's what Katie said though too. We can't control, our expectation is to get for what we want, what you want for your house as much as you do. We'd love it to sell for more. It's going to make us more money too. So there should be some reason for you to understand we all want the sale price to be higher, but let's be realistic. And if you're not realistic, maybe I'm not the right person for you. I mean, I have referred before, and I like to say there were less men in the room in the 30 years ago when I first started, but there are some sellers that, and not to call out men versus women, but that I know they're not going to listen to me the same way they're going to listen to a man. And I actually gave one to Ryan not that many years ago, and it was like, you got him, and I bet you can make this work, because and it did. So,
Anthony, what about for you?
So I give them respectfully give them a timeline. We typically like to go to the market on a Thursday, okay, and we do twilight evenings, and we do double open houses on Saturday and a Sunday. So when we do our debrief on Monday, we have a great idea in regards to not what Marla and I have said, not what you have said, but what the market has said. Mm-hmm. And if we didn't have anyone come to any of the open houses, if we haven't had any showings, we need to be prepared to adjust on Monday. The days of waiting 30 days, 60 days are gone. Mm-hmm. So if they will verbally commit to me we're going to react and respond on Monday, then I'm willing to work with them. Once again, within reasonableness, but we set the appointment on Monday, whether it be after work, when they get home from work, that we're going to do a debrief from the market activity over the weekend.
So what's interesting, topic of today, how elite agents control pricing without fighting the seller. Unless I misheard, all 3 people, all 3 of you said, it's not us, it's the market, mm-hmm, right? Your price is not wrong because we think it's wrong. Mm-hmm. It's the market that's rejecting
yes.
that. I would say that is definitely a phrase, if you guys are not using, you should be picking up from the 3 of them. Mm-hmm. It's like, you're not fighting the seller, the market is dictating what the price is.
100%.
So I guess outside of that, what phrases or approaches have you found lowered defensiveness instead of escalating it when talking to the seller? Anything when they're like up in arms about pricing, outside of talk about like it's the market, it's not us. Anything else that you've got like in your bag of tricks that it's like you drop this and they kind of get back on track?
I'll just say for me personally, help me understand why you're in that space.
Okay.
You know, whether it be price, and what we encounter a lot of times, people want this price, but they want the home to be in this condition, and those two worlds don't mesh and don't coexist. So I flat out ask them, you know, Josh, why are you in this space? You know, what's your rationale? You know,
So more questions than phrase.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
I
Just
like
asking them the questions, and when it's amazing when they have to explain themselves and they can't. They pretty much exposed, you know, themselves. So I'm not saying it's a got you question, but that's how I diffuse any situation. Tell me why are you feeling that way? Whether it be price, condition, because like I said, you have these folks that want to price their homes at a very high price, but they want the condition of their homes that even when you open up the front door, you're bumping into something when you you know when you walk in.
Katie, what about for you? Any like phrases, questions, go-tos that help
I think
diffuse?
whether it's a buyer or a seller, you know, when you have those people, they either have a bad taste in their mouth with realtors. I really only work with referrals anymore and friends and family, but I definitely teach my team, and I've had to use it a couple times. I make it very clear. I am not a salesperson. I am an expert in real estate, and I am here to guide you to either find the perfect home, which I cannot do, that I can lead you to it, or to sell your home. And I give you the expertise and we make a decision together. And it really does diffuse. I can't believe how hostile some people are about realtors. On Reddit, I hear these things and I'm just like, I would like them to work our job one day. Just the emotional aspect of this job. When they love their home and they love the orange wall they put up that's like shining at you and you have to tell them they have to paint it. I mean, that's a difficult conversation. And, you know, I just try to remind them about the emotional aspect of it, that we are here to guide with just expertise, which allows that emotional side to go out of it.
I think I've used the word team a lot, of like, we're on the same team. Like when somebody's like, but I think we're in a different time, or we have been. I'm a little nervous if it's changing a little bit, especially on the higher end market, that things are sitting longer. You know, like, I mean, I think it's the point of if it's been 4 days, it seems too long for some people, and they're more anxious than they would have been when it was 6 months and we were like, oh great, we have another showing today. You know, like we haven't had one in 2 weeks. So when there's not a showing the first weekend on a property, it's not always price. To me, I've been trying to say to people, relax a little more than I used to have to say in the past. But they're like, oh my gosh, it's been a week and we've only had 3 showings. Well, your house doesn't have a basement, or your house doesn't have an attached garage, or all these things. It's not just price. People are eliminating it because of these reasons. So just be patient, I think, is probably another word I try to use, even if it doesn't.
Yeah, I like that. Team and patience.
Yeah.
All right, so we've had some good like strategy conversations. Let's tell some stories. What is the hardest, Susan, we'll start with you. What's the hardest pricing situation you've personally had to navigate?
There was one that I did walk away from, and I think when somebody just keeps wanting their price and thinking it's something that you personally haven't done enough of, and you know that their price is wrong and they need someone else to be able to come in. And I, in an area where I had sold a lot of homes, and it was somebody, and to say it again in terms of a male kind of ego coming at me of like, you're not doing enough, and you need to get a stronger male personality in here to be selling my house. And when it was a lot about price. I've learned to kind of diffuse those situations more, that I know somebody's personality up front. I'm not pursuing that client anymore. If I had a relationship like that with someone in the past, those are not people I'm sending, gifts and postcards to. But I don't really know that many that I can think of when I saw that question on the.
You saw the questions?
I saw it. Did you?
See the question.
Oh yeah, I emailed you guys them like.
My daughter
2
got
weeks
married
ago.
Friday. Okay,
that's a
I
good
didn't see the
excuse. That's a good
question.
Yeah.
That's a
I
good
was like,
excuse.
man, they're really drilling us.
Katie, what about
Well, I
for you?
am too. So two totally separate. But I actually had a client that she was my mother's best friend. Her husband had died, so she had a new husband, and she wanted to list it like 50,000 under. And I'm like, I need you to trust me. If we start here, we'll never get here. I'm positive it's worth this. I end up listing it at what I want to, sell it for more in 3 days. And the new husband calls me, and I, of course, think he's calling me to thank me. And he says, you did not really have to do that much work. And I looked up the national average, and he's going on and on and on of why I should cut my commission after we're under contract. That was not a nice conversation. 99.5% of the time, that I would think one of my best qualities is I keep emotion out. There was so much emotion in that conversation. I was so pissed off. I just couldn't believe that someone would have the audacity. And he's not even my client, by the way. So of course I called the client to make sure she was ecstatic. But that was really appalling. We just had a situation happen on our team where a client, we went under contract from day one. They had a seller net sheet, everything. He was a very difficult client. I actually said we should not take this offer. I know you positively can get more. And it was a very good offer, but I knew we could get more. He decided to take it. We signed everything, and 3 weeks later, he was calling to ask my team member to cut their commission, a full %. And I would never have done it. He decided to do it, and it was easy, it was quick. He said he chose to do it, and I allowed it. And then the icing on the cake was when it was time to close, and this was a nightmare deal, and we had to do so much, and it was a lot of work. He then started complaining about the $495 admin fee that he refused to pay, which of course I then have put my foot down. Absolutely not. Got on the telephone. And how you flip that, ask them what they do for a living. Don't ever be afraid. What is it you do for a living? And ask them, so if you did this whole project and then they said, you know what, we don't want to pay you the amount we agreed to, would you be okay with that? They're never going to say yes. And then you're done with the conversation. But he fought him for like 3 days. They're always afraid to get me on the phone because I'm very forward and not polished. A little rough with my presentation, but I handled it in 2 minutes. I mean, you just have to flip it and put it on them. You know, you work on a project for X amount of time, and would you be okay if they took your money away? Not one of them is going to say they're okay with it.
I do think that's the best thing about being like on a team or a husband-wife duo or something is like the ability
Good cop,
to
bad
like,
cop.
have somebody else come in and it's like, no.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Anthony, what about for you? Give us a great,
So just to
difficult
piggyback
message.
off what you just said, yeah. So Marla is that pit bull, you know, in our relationship. You know, she is the bull in the china shop, and it's funny. You know, I'll just tell a quick story. We had a deal probably 2 years ago. We were in Chicago with my visiting my mom, and this was it during COVID when we only allowed 20-minute showings.
Okay.
But anyway, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So he called my wife and said, "Hey, I need an hour showing for this home," and she said, "No, we're going to stick to this because we had back-to-back, you know, showings." He hung up the phone and immediately called me, and my phone announces who's who's calling, you know, with that. And I was like, "Man, you just made the biggest." I'm saying this as my phone is ringing. You just made the biggest mistake, you know, with that. So of course she picked up the phone and he ended up doing the 20-minute, appointment with that. But no, it's always nice to have that pit bull. But our most challenging listing that we had was an agent out of California who had a home here in Ohio. Here we were thinking that it was going to be one of our easier transactions, and it ended up being one of our most challenging, you know, transactions because she was attempting to bring what was done in California into Ohio, and just was a very, 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 very strong, personality. And I can typically, and we got through it. It ended up closing, but I typically don't look up someone, right? But I just said, I got to see what you're doing. And I think in the past 2 years, she sold one home. Yeah, one home. So the cachet that she was presenting was not, so at that point in time, my whole mindset changed. I'm still the nice guy. We're still gonna get it done. But all the stuff that you're telling me in regards to how we should doing, you're not doing. So that was our most, what I thought was gonna be our easiest transaction. That ended up being one of our most challenging, dealing with a fellow brother or sister in the real estate space.
My mom just pointed at me when you said that. I actually had a very similar situation. An agent in California selling his house here, unsuccessful with 2 other real estate agents here. I listed it over the price that they both had it at, got him over list price, and then 2 days before closing wanted to sue us for commission.
Oh my gosh.
An agent?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like they own this house here, and it's like they had a real estate license, and it was like, what? Like,
Yeah. Wow.
I
Yeah.
was expecting this.
Yep.
All right. Have you guys ever intentionally taken an overpriced listing, and what has to be true for you to say yes? Anthony, we'll start with you.
Yes, we have.
Okay.
And what has to be true in our space is if this home will sell. If we're pretty confident that this home will sell, we're gonna take it, with that. Because in Strongsville, a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, basement, 3-car garage, 3,000 square foot, even if it's not in the best condition, it will sell. So that's my mindset when dealing with a situation. Will this home sell, and am I willing to go, 10, 15,000 over? So the answer is yes. And I do this just based on data. Once again, I'm an analytical person. We've had success, with that, where it has in fact sold. So I tell Marla, we know this house is going to sell. So let's be the one to sell it.
Love it. Katie, what about for you?
Yes, and what I do is, again, if it's the right home, it's not unique, not different, you're going to have 80% of buyers buying it, and we go a little higher. On our exclusive listing agreement, right in the second paragraph, we have within X amount of days, they're already agreeing to take it down if it doesn't sell. Oh. So statistically, that home should be sold. If I list on a Wednesday night or Thursday morning, I should have a contract Monday in this market. If I don't, we need to look at something. So I actually will get them to agree right up front. I'll try your way, but if not, we need to go to this price. Because at the end of the day, too, right, we want to get them the very most. We also want to keep our statistics good. We knew what was right from the beginning. And I won't do a short-term listing. If they're like 90 days, it's at least 6 months, and they are paying a certain percentage to get out of it at that 6 months if we're not going to go a full year.
Do you, when you have the amount of days till the price adjustment, is that standard across the board, or do you fill that out like individually per listing?
It's 2 week standard, but I will switch it to the 5th day if I know it's that really hot one. If it's unique, it could be, you can tell a difficult client on the telephone in 4 seconds, right? So if I know it's that client and they want to list high, I am filling that out very detailed. So I'll actually add a couple. All right, well, if it's like 30 grand over, it 1 week we'll do this, or 5 days. And so it's different for everyone, but the standard is 2 weeks and a price cut.
Love it. Susan, what about for you?
If it's a close personal relationship, I have had those. I have one actually now, and it's kind of that if I'm in this market and it's a over, $2.5 million kind of property, that it was, hey, I don't know, it's unique enough that somebody might want it, I'm okay, and especially to do it, and especially if they aren't in a we have to sell kind of situation. If and when it sells, we'll go to our other home, or we'll worry about it then I'm okay with it. It backfired once with, I'm your most loyal client, never would go anywhere, and let's start it here, and then 6 months later, let's just take it off, and then you get the phone call that we're gonna, gosh, help me, go in another direction. Whoever whoever has like thrown that out there in the public eye of that's what you say to your agent. But I do like have a little bit of gloating when it's still on the market, like 3 months later, that it's still in that same price point. But I do think you've got to know the good and the bad with it.
So if you start with a home that is overpriced, you got to do price adjustments, right? What do great agents do during price reductions that average agents don't?
The whole expire it and put it back on has probably been we can do that with our wonderful MLS, even as long as you get it signed and put it back in. I think that has helped. Our friends at Zillow and the other public sites that still continue to say days on market, and it's not as hidden as it used to be, and especially the 45 days. Nobody really wants to take it off, but I've done that. I just did that, that they wanted to be off over the winter. So then let's put it on again and put it on at a new price. I've used the even number scenarios a lot more, where instead of the $999 price, put it right at $1 million, because the public is going to be looking 900 to $1 million, and then $1 million to $1.1 million, or they're looking in hundreds. You will get more hits, more clicks, more views that way. So I try to start in a number that's a little bit off and then go to that even number is kind of a trick I guess I've used.
Love it. Katie, make sure.
Depending on the time of year, if we're in the winter, I just had a property, to this day, I don't know why it did not sell late fall. It was priced perfect, it was beautiful. In fact, I think it was underpriced. It did not sell. And we took it off the market and we put it back up, and I had an offer in one day. So sometimes I think we just don't know. But if I have someone's expired or withdrawn or whatever, and they don't want to wait the 45 days, you have to do something different. Something's got to be different to get that back up in front of people. So a lot of times too, I'll do marketing and Facebook. Believe it or not, LinkedIn is another great one because it's all business owners. And I will pick what range I think of age, what amount of money, and just spend a little money on marketing to get it out further. And you can actually pick the locations of where it goes. And it's really not that much money. You can spend $30, $50, $100, $200, whatever you want. But you've got to market it different. You've got to do a unique open house. I like the twilight on like a Wednesday night, midweek, no crazy sports. But you've got to stand out if you're going to go right back up.
Anthony, what about for yourself?
Yeah, we actually did that this year. We took a home off the market because it just wasn't moving. I think we were off for 2 weeks, and we put it back on, and then we had a contract within 2 or 3 days. We didn't do anything other than take it off, and what that did behind the scenes is that it resent it to everyone that was interested, and so that worked for us. Worked for us this year.
Sometimes the buyers that are in the market in 2 weeks aren't the buyers that are in the market now.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if you take a listing that they had a vacant home, have them get it furnished and get new pictures. And it's a completely brand new listing, even if it was on for 30 days, 60 days, and you take it over and it still shows those days. Those pictures go back in that MLS on day one of view. Mm-hmm. It's a completely different house.
And especially the front view too. Like I think sometimes people, they think they saw it and then they're like, oh, I would not have thought that's the same house. Especially here, going from winter, no leaves on the trees. And I was thinking when you said that, something else of when you take it off. Oh, I know. Like for example, Moreland Hills being 44022 is really Chagrin Falls 44022, right, from a post office. There are reasons, like Moreland Hills is more associated with Orange schools, but there are some homes in Moreland Hills that are in Chagrin schools. And there are people that look and search different ways. But I found if you change that up, you will sometimes get new views, because I went through a battle with Zillow years and years ago when you would put Chagrin Falls in and they would show Bainbridge and Auburn, and they wouldn't put Bentleyville or South Russell homes in their mapping. I was like fixated for the longest time of trying to get, and it was whatever Google Maps they used, they wouldn't search that way. So you just had to put Chagrin Falls and think that they would put 44022. So I've done that. I did that actually with Moreland Commons. We switched it from Moreland Hills to Chagrin Falls and picked up different buyers. So
one other thing, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
do you ever see when people they put all their money into the inside of the house, but the outside is just not lovely? But then they show 13 pictures in a row of the outside. Only do the one we have to.
Right.
And then you do all the inside and maybe just a couple more of the outside, maybe. Once they get there and fall in love, it's landscaping, it's a little work. But when they're not pretty from a certain view, don't show it. We got to show the one, right? But we did that and sold a house for $50,000 extra, and it was only $275 to begin with in one day. And we took it from someone
There's
else.
definitely lack of intention in marketing
Oh.
in the real estate space. All right, I got one more like kind of rapid fire question for you guys, and then we'll see if anybody has questions. If you could give agents one mindset shift that would immediately improve their pricing conversations, what would it be? Anthony, you want to kick us off?
Ooh, one mindset question. I'm going to say don't overcommit. You know that I'm going to list your house on a Thursday and it's going to sell this weekend. So yeah, don't overcommit when it comes to pricing. That should be the mindset.
Love it. Katie?
Don't be afraid of pricing. You've got to practice or talk with people and do it over and over and over again. You have to be confident in why you're worth. We charge a lot. I mean, we're very lucky. Do we put up with a lot? Is there a lot that goes into it? I'm worth every dollar. But you have to convey that. You've got to have confidence in why you charge what you charge. And I'm kind of shocked we didn't touch on it. I have not dealt with it much. It was a little in the beginning. But for these people you're going against that are only charging the 3% and then knowing they're going to end up having to pay. So you're going up against someone that says they're only charging 3%, but I'm 6 or 7. I absolutely give them the opportunity if that's what they want to do. But I explain to them that it is in their best interest to offer the buyer side because agents are not showing, and that is not really true. I don't even ask. In fact, let's be really real, we're all making more money now. That was the stupidest lawsuit ever. But anyway, I'm 3% every buyer now. But realistically, you are the same. There is no difference in money because whether they do it up front or do it later, it's got to be on you and the value and the marketing. All you have to do is be confident in why you are the right choice and what you offer and your statistics on your selling. And it's not a hard conversation at all.
Susan, what's the
would
one
probably-
mindset shift?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I guess I have to remark on that. I am an agent that just goes in with the listing side. So as our brokerage, like that's key. And I think it's made a big difference. So if you were, I'll say a listing of 3%, be open to know that you might pay up to an additional 3%, but you may not have to, has really helped. Because you could be bringing, as an agent, your son or daughter into, purchase the home, and you're not gonna make that income. You might take it off the price, but you're not gonna charge the seller. So I'm still kind of talk to them about the net, I think, in terms of what that might be, but say you don't have to, and if you're in a multiple situation, you've got a little more leverage. I think the sellers are paying less commission because of that. So that part of the, crazy lawsuit helped the seller. I think as buyers, we're kind of, working on that. And yes, I think in Ohio, we're making more money. In some parts of the country, they're making a lot less because they were always getting 3 and they're not getting that. But I tell them, the other part of that the question was, I say look at the whole package, look at the terms, because you might be worried about I want to sell my house for 1.5 million, but you also are telling me you want to stay till September, or I want to rent back for free, or I'm really don't want to deal with an inspection. Well, if somebody's going to come to you at 1.4 and tell you all those other things are here, remind them that the terms make a difference too.
Love it. This has been incredible. You guys have questions for our panelists? I feel like there's probably some stuff out there that was not asked that one of you would like to know, maybe? Anybody? I do have one more question, I guess, then while people are thinking if they have anything. We talked about like the pricing conversation. I know something that's super important in my business or the Young Team's business is the pre-call with sellers before we ever go on the appointment. For us, it's like I'm talking about price, I'm talking about condition, talking about what's important to them. Do the three of you do anything similar? Are you getting most of that information when you get to the house?
Oh, that's good. I typically on the phone beforehand. Sometimes I've probably been dealing a lot more with sellers thinking ahead and saying I might move next year. So the conversation might be a little bit shorter of, yeah, let me see the house, give me an idea of what improvements I should make. So that's kind of enters into it too. But I do think probably I'm dealing with a lot more past clients and referrals than brand new people. Sometimes I do go on relocation listings and then it's a little bit different. But I think that conversation does help before you go in there.
Yeah, I really do try to go as prepared as I can. I'd love to have, but everyone's idea of an updated bathroom from 2000 versus, 2 years ago. So, I try to even get the year, furnace, air, roof, right? Some of these roofs are $100,000. So I try to get it all. I also try to get their mortgage amount. And then I really try to feel out the emotional, right? Someone's been there 35 years versus 5. It's a completely different conversation and sales, call when we're there. So I go as prepared as I can, but not every time do I give a price. And the other thing is, if you think that they possibly are going to try to sell it themselves or they have people interested, I never give a price. So I won't give them my tricks. I won't tell them. I've completely flipped the appointment and say, if you hire me, I will share with you the expertise on this, this, and that. I have contractors that can come in and do the couple things that are needed. So then I kind of pull back and hold it because truly price is not everything, right? And in your appointment, you don't want it to be all about price. There's 43 steps I have that have to happen after we go under contract. And the inspection is just as hard, if not harder, in some cases, right? So is that agent experienced on the other side? What is the lender? All of those things make it the great offer and then also make it an incredible experience. The customer experience should be just as important as price. And that's what I try to sell in my appointment is obviously I want to get you top dollar, but I make it very clear that there's a lot more. The higher priced homes, the less BS they want to put up with. So letting them know I'm investigating the lender. I'm making sure it's a strong agent on the other side. We're not going to have a checklist of, items being asked for. I'm on top of the appraisal. So you take that time to go through those steps, and everyone thinks like, oh, I could sell my house tomorrow. Well, there's a lot more that goes into it than just actually getting it under contract.
Yeah. My mindset, I want to have a seat at the table as quickly as possible.
Okay.
So my pre-call, if you want to call it that, is getting a seat at the table. So I'm setting that appointment, and typically my area is Strongsville, so it's not very large.
Yeah.
So me getting a seat at the table can happen same day or next day, but during that call, all of my questions, all of my points that I'm making are to get a seat at the table as quickly as possible. Because I feel that once I get in front of someone, I cast a big net, no pun intended with my size, but I cast a big net, and it's hard to get out of it once, that's just been our success, with that and getting in front of them as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think it's so interesting, like the differences between everybody and the similarities. But any questions? Any last questions? Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
So how are you handling multiple offer situations? Like, what are you telling the agents, right? Let's say you have like 5 offers on the same property. How are you kind of guiding the agents? And then how are you determining the final offer with the sellers to make the decisions?
I haven't had one lately, but the last one I did, it was me discussing with the seller that what would you like to see. I'm have trouble with. I like when there is the escalation clause when I'm writing the offers, but when you're on the listing side, I said if depending on how many are coming in, I think for me it's like you get that first offer. I'm not setting any expectations until that first offer comes in. The first offer comes in, you go back to the seller and say, or you have these options. Do you want to allow escalations? Do you not want to allow escalations? And I think, and this is just my opinion on it too, is that you might be better to set the buyer agency commission up front, because then we're not making the deal over our commission. So if we want to say it, we're going to just set it at 2% on, let's say it's a higher end listing, and leave it at that. And if somebody's going to ask for more, then they have to know that that's what the seller's agreeing to pay. Take some things off the table, I guess, are my approach, to make it more be about the price and the terms instead of all the other extras.
Usually I send out through the MLS, because it is a lot right now. There's quite a bit. I love to touch and get to know the agent and call, but if there's more than 5, it's just too hard. So I will send out highest and best by this time. If you're a good agent, you'll pick that phone up and call and find out what is the most appealing. I am horrified. I get offers, they don't even call me. They don't text me, they don't ask anything. And it's just inconceivable to me. But, even not in multiples, just ever. And then they don't even tell me they sent it. It's just in my email. But, when you ask for highest and best, that does not mean you can't go back to the agent you think is the best, right? Because experience. The lender, right? I have a great offer, but it's, well, I'm not going to say a bank, but a certain bank, and they cut appraisals. They're a nightmare. They never close on time. You know that. So you can give them the opportunity. If you're willing to go get reasonable financing, you actually have an opportunity here. So let's say there's 5 offers, and they're all are great, but none of them are the perfect. You can go to your seller and then go to a certain agent and give them first dibs. Listen, I'd love to work with you. You've been incredible in the past. This is what my sellers would like to be able to move forward with your offer. So even though you ask for highest and best, it doesn't mean you have to just go with that. You have every opportunity to put together the dream, right? Which is the closing date they want, rent back if they want it, appraisal gap, right? That's huge if it's not cash. If you're going against a cash offer and I can get an appraisal gap, that cash offer doesn't really matter anymore, right? I mean, unless they lose their job, but statistically, that doesn't happen. So don't be afraid to put together like the perfect offer for your seller. And the escalation is huge. So I love it as a buying agent, just used it the other day, but as a selling agent, I almost never take it. But you have one shot. When I tell you timing is everything, and that first offer comes in and it has an escalation clause, you have about 5 minutes to call them and say, I'm so sorry, we're not taking escalation clauses. If I get an FHA offer and it's through the roof, because then the escalation clause is fine because I now have this offer. You get what I'm saying? So, but once you say you're not taking them, you can't take them. So they're great as the buying agent, but as the list, you're leaving money on the table. So I have that conversation with my sellers before we ever go live, and explain it to them, and then they give me permission to do what I want with it.
I had a case, and I was representing the buyer, but we learn, I think, from each time we write one, how another agent might handle it. And I think this was one case that there were 8 original offers, and they went back to the top 5. And then said, bring your best and final. And I think a lot of people are approaching it that way, depending on the number of offers, right? But saying, I just had one of my sellers that wrote an offer and got accepted in Philadelphia area. I was amazed by this one, but she said they were called by their buying agent and said, you were the best offer, but now they're taking out escalations and want you to come back with your best and final. And they're like, well, that was our best and final. Why would we outbid ourselves? So she was like, no, they want to know if you'll go up to your full escalation. So they had their offer, let's just say it's $1 million, and the escalation went to $1.2 million. We're sticking here. And they had, we'll stick with what our escalation number would go to. I'm sorry, the gap, the difference. So they came back and they ended up having to pay like $12,000 more, and they still won it. If they had done what they had asked them to do and go to their folks, she's like, we would have thrown away. I'm like, the fact that they gave you the information that you were the best was the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Like, you won, but you're now gonna go like compete against yourself again. So come back with more.
Right.
So it was really, so you learn from each kind of thing of what not to do sometimes, but I don't know.
So we present as they come in, and I'm real big on communication. So if you send me an offer and I haven't heard from you, then get a text message, and I find your offer when I go through my email, when Marla goes through my email and finds the offer, that's playing a role in the decision making processes. Because if you're submitting an offer and you don't call to at least have, hey, there's an offer in your inbox or a text, that's saying something, to me. Is it always true? No, but that does carry weight, with me and how you're going to be throughout the transaction if you're not calling to present. But we present as they come in, and then how we receive it plays a role. We present everything to the seller, but I'm going to say, these 4 agents did in fact call and have a conversation. This agent, did not in terms come into play, as well.
Cool. Well, this was amazing. Really appreciate all 3 of you. Hopefully you guys learned some stuff. If you got questions afterwards, I don't know if you guys have to rush out, but maybe they'll hang out for a couple minutes. But please, thank you guys all for coming. Got another panel in June. We're doing this every month. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Definitely want to shout out Scotty McWinney and my mom. They make this seem like a great panel because they're just here staring and nodding the whole time. Like, they love this.
They've heard all the stories before.
Yeah, right.
They've heard.
Thank you all.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.